all that flashing put everything together. The, I had seen something trot by with a long tail, and then here this cougar had jumped up, and what had happened, he had, just like cats do, he had misjudged to jump a little bit, and he had jumped and hit right on the corner of that fender, but he had to reach out and catch himself. And so when he reached out to catch himself, he scratched paint on the truck. Then he just walked up there. I don't know what he was doing up in the barn. You know, you can't, there wasn't no animals in that particular barn and all that kind of stuff. And I used to have a horse that I kept over there, and he was mean as a rattlesnake. I never realized how mean that horse was until I moved him and cut him in with Gary's string. He's the best son of a bitch I ever sat on, too. He was an old scarecrow looking raw boned blue roan. And people would look at him when I get him off, and they would like, he ain't gonna make it. And he would tote me anywhere, and he still had stuff left over. That was a fine animal. But he's gone on, as Gary would say, he's gone on to horse heaven now, you know. But anyway, there wasn't no animals in that barn over there where the cougar was at, so he must have just been over there fooling around or something like that. So this rocked on, and I didn't think about cougars for another, I don't know, month or something like that. And I was coming home one day, and I had a companion in the truck, a dog, a pit bull, and he rode with me everywhere. And I whooped in the driveway, and when I whooped in the driveway, you could look all the way down my driveway, and right down the side of a farmer had an equipment shed out there. You could look right down the side of that equipment shed, and they kept it mowed around there because that's where they kept their equipment and stuff, and then the crops come up to it. And as soon as I turned in my driveway and started down my drive, I looked down across through there, and I saw it when it run across. There was a bunch of hay stacked in that barn at that time, and I saw it when it busted up through there, and I said, that wasn't a deer. I said, it wasn't a coyote. I said, I don't know what that was, but I had an inkling. And so I always got a rifle laying there on the seat right there beside me, and all that kind of stuff. And so I just mashed on the gas because I had to go down there and then make a decision whether to follow around and go around the circle around which way the cougar went, or cut the other way and go. Well, I took the long way. I went on the one that was on the outside. I busted off down through there, and roared around there, and I was looking into the barn. Didn't say nothing, didn't say nothing, didn't say nothing. And I went on around the curve, and I was coming down the other side of the barn. I was still looking inside towards the barn. I figured he would have stopped in the barn, up in that hay or something. And I was looking and looking and looking, and all of a sudden, he didn't bark or anything, but he whimpered. The dog, Buster, he whimpered. He was looking out the other window. He's looking out towards the field on the other side of the barn, back towards my house. And he said, or something like that. And I looked at his head, and as soon as I looked at his head, I saw where he was looking, and I looked over there, and there the cougar stood. And so, of course, I didn't have no tag or nothing at the wrong time of the year and everything like that and everything. And so I stepped out of the truck cougar still standing there, and his tail was just kind of up above his head, just kind of flipping around like cats do. And I took the gun and shot it up in the air, well clear and well, and so he hauled Boogie and he was gone. I just shot at one time. I figured that might dissuade him from being around the house, because all I could see is him jumping square in the middle of my shoulder blades when I come out of the house one night, or catching that dog out there or something like that. So that was the end of the cougar tale, I thought, for a little while. And so that might be why the name of this episode originally was Here, Kitty, 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 Kitty. Well, I forgot about the cougar, went on into hunting season, and, just had knew that I'd seen one and stuff like that. And so we got on into hunting season. Of course, snow got on the ground. And when snow got on the ground, I caught his tracks 3 or 4 different times. Or her tracks, his or her. I don't have any inkling as to what it was. And they would just go over there to my barn. He kind of had a little route that he made up through there. And he'd come back down by my window, and most of the time I'd just smear him out, and I didn't say too much about him or anything like that. And this went on all the way through hunt season, and on up into, I think it was, the snow was still in patches in the shade, so it had to be late February, early March, or something like that. And I hadn't seen any tracks or anything in quite a while, and I was sitting there, I couldn't sleep at night, and so I got up plotting against somebody or some turkey or something. And anyway, I was sitting out there in the living room, and it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting out there, and the whole house was quiet, just like this one is now. I could hear from one end of it to the other, and plus what's going on outside most of the time. And so I was sitting there, and I heard pap. And I said, that's a mouse trap. And, we had a few mice that would get in there, because when they'd combine them big old fields, I lived on the edge of an 1,100-acre field. So you can imagine what would come out of there when they mow it all down. Anyway, I heard that pep, and so I sat there, and I knew it was the mouse trap that went off that I had put out there in the laundry room. And boy, you ought to see, before I got out of that house, you ought to see what I had rigged up when the laundry used to freeze up. I had 2 or 3 pieces of pipe. It took 2 tripods and something else to make the water run out the back door. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's another story for another time. You learn real quick when you live up there in the middle of the woodlands. You make do. It's a little of that yak ingenuity, as a friend of mine had put it. But anyway, that mouse trap went off. So I sat there a few minutes, and I was like, I need to go get that mouse, because I knew that a lot of times I'm liable to go lay back down around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I might catch an hour or two before everything gets up and gets kicking around when it's not hunting season. And so I knew I might go lay back down, and I didn't want Nicole to have. She'd go out there, she'd see the mouse in the mouse trap, and then she'd have a fit. Then anyway, I could get up and go take care of it and all that kind of stuff. So I got up and I went out there, and sure enough, it was a mouse there. Now, to set the stage for this, the washer and dryer sitting right here on my right, and then you walked across you walked across the room, and then there was a sliding glass door that went onto a back porch, and that back porch went all the way across the house, across the back, which it wasn't really that far, but it was 30 feet or better down that way, and the porch was about 10 foot wide, something like that. And we kept a trash can on the back porch that would be the spillover from the house. You could walk out on the back porch and drop a bag in there and all. Before I moved it, I'd had to move it from there over inside a building to keep it safe, from bears getting in it and all that kind of stuff. But there was a trash can in one corner of the back porch. Now, on the other corner of the back porch, well, back from the corner just a little bit, about 20 foot across there instead of the whole 30 foot. At about 20 foot, I had three trash cans that I set out there, and they were full of all kinds of stuff that we messed around. They were full of bird seed, and there was some that, every now and then I had some corn out there. But those cans, we kept one that had potting soil fertilizer and all in there. But they were full size metal trash cans. I don't know how big a full size metal trash can is, but it wasn't them little short ones you buy. It was the big one. It took a drum liner to use as a trash bag. That's how big they were. They were good sized trash cans. Two of them was, and one of them was a shorter one. And so I get the mouse, and I got him in the trap, and I walk across there. I slide screen door open, and it's raining. And it's probably, I said it was February, March. It's probably somewhere around between 34 and 38 degrees. It's still pretty chilly out there at night, but it's not freezing. It's raining. And so it's raining, and so I'm looking at the mouse, and I'm trying to get my hand up under there where I can get the little wire and let him loose. And of course, I get over to the trash can, and the first trash can was a plastic one, and it was a big one too. And so I pop the handles and get the lid off of it, and so I got him ready to go in that trash can. And I'm sitting there getting that wire up under my hand. I'm getting a good grip on that wire because I didn't want blood to get all on me and all that. And I felt like something was watching me. And so I just stopped, and I turned my head to the right, which would have been looking up the porch. And there sat the cougar. And he was sitting under the eave of the porch, but on the other side of the big trash can, and he was just sitting there like cats do, and his tail stuck out into the porch, and his head, I looked at his head looked like a basketball. I mean, it was big. And of course, he was all furred up and stuff and everything like that. He was looking at me, and I was looking at him. with a mouse trap in my hand.